step equations, or we talked about one-step equations last time we met, okay? So today we're going to talk about multi-step or two-step equations as we do these problems here. So the same rules that I talked about on Tuesday apply for these problems, all right? So our goal is to get the variable by itself on one side of the equal sign. Then we're going to move, to do that, we want to move anything that's not the variable by doing opposite operations like we talked about on Tuesday. Okay? So let's use example number 7. We'll do it together. First thing I want to do is put this line in so I can figure out where's my variable. Is it on the left side or is it on the right side? So as you look here, we notice that my variable is on the left side. Okay, it's x. That means I want to get x all by itself, which means the -3 needs to go away and this 2 needs to go away. Okay? But we have to do this in a certain order. You can't just start moving stuff all over the place. So here's the rule. 99% of the time, you're always going to move addition or subtraction first. So it's not all the time. There's an exception to the rule, which I will show you. But this is what you want to do first 99% of the time. Okay, so we want to undo anything that is adding or subtracting first, and then after that we're going to undo anything that's multiplying or dividing. Okay, so let's look at over here. We are ignoring the -5 because it's not with my variable. So I need to get rid of the -3 and the 2. So I have to move 2 numbers. That's essentially what I'm saying. Which one do I move first? Well, we want to do this rule. So we're looking at which one of these is actually adding or subtracting. And what you have to remember is when a number and a variable are written like this, -3 and x, that's actually -3 times x. So we know that this guy is multiplying. So that means if we're looking for adding and subtracting first, the first guy we want to move is the 2. And then we ask ourselves, what is the 2 doing? It is subtracting. What's the opposite of subtraction? It's addition. So we're going to add 2 to both sides. What you do to one side, do to the other. The 2's cancel out, and then I'm just going to bring down what I have. I have -3x equal sign. Let's do this math. -5 and 2, that's -3. Okay, so we have that now. And then we ask ourselves, is x by itself? And the answer is no, it's still not by itself. So now we still got to move the -3. So what is the -3 doing? What operation? And I told you earlier, it's actually multiplying with the x. So to undo multiplication, we do division. This is going to be our second thing we want to do. The -3's cancel out, and then we have x all by itself, exactly what we want, and then -3 divided by -3, if you do that math correctly, you get a +1. Okay, this is two-step equations. Let's jump over to number 8. So we'll put our line in. I might have to erase this in a little bit, so if you need to get that down, get it down. So we're going to put our line in, and then we have to find our variable. Is a variable on the left side or the right side? And again, it's on the right side. So we want to get the n by itself, which means the -3 here and the +3 have to go and move. We have to get rid of these two things. Okay? So what 3 do we get rid of first? Remember, the rule is you want to get rid of the number that's adding or subtracting first. So as a reminder, this 3 here, since it's next to the n, this is actually multiplying. So we do not want to get rid of this 3 yet. We want to get rid of this 3. Now here's the question. What is the 3 doing? We know it's adding or subtracting, okay? But which one is it doing? So to answer that, you always want to look in front of the number that you're about to get rid of. So this 3, even though this negative is here, this negative belongs to this 3. The sign of this guy is actually positive. So there's a positive there, which means this 3 is actually adding. Okay? And what we want to get rid of addition, we do subtraction. So we're going to subtract this 3. What you do to one side, do to the other. That cancels out, and we're left with 15 equal to, and then we bring down the negative 3 times n. All right, n is not by itself. We have to get rid of this 3 now. And what is this negative 3 doing? It is multiplying. What's the opposite of multiplication? It's division. So we're going to divide by negative 3. This cancels out. Let's continue this over here. That's going to give me negative 5 equals n. And we are done. Okay, so again, very important that you know which number to do first, and then ask yourself, what the heck is it doing? Is it adding, subtracting? All right, once you figure that out, then you take care of the multiplication or division. All right, number 9. Remember I said 99% of the time you undo addition or subtraction first? Well, here's the exception of the rule. This is the 1% of the problems that you do not do addition or subtraction first. So let's start this. First thing I want to do is figure out, is my variable on the left or right? And we notice it's on the right side. Okay? Since it's on the right side, we have 2 things to get rid of. We have a negative 3 and a 2. We have to figure out which one to get rid of first. Okay? 99% of the time, we're going to get rid of the thing that's subtracting, right? We want to do addition, subtraction first, but here's the issue. We can't get rid of this subtraction because we have this whole thing's being divided. Because of this division sign, it really is doing this to my r minus 3. It's almost like wrapped in parentheses, and we can't touch this up here until we get rid of the division of 2. Okay? So in this particular problem where you're dividing the thing that's adding or subtracting, so in this case we're dividing the negative 3 as well, then we can't do addition and subtraction first. We have to get rid of the division first. Okay? So we know negative 3 and 2 have to disappear. But in this case, we got to get rid of the 2 here. And what's the 2 doing? It's actually dividing. How do I get rid of something in dividing? We multiply. And what you do to one side, you do to the other. These 2's cancel out. We do the math on the left. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Equals, and now if you notice, it frees up. Think about it as it's no longer being divided, so r minus 3 is free to get rid of. And now we can get rid of the 3. And what is the 3 doing? It is subtracting. The opposite of subtraction is addition. Okay? And we get negative 1 equals r. All right, guys, this is the exception to the rule here. Most of the time you do addition and subtraction first. But then here's the exception. when you're dividing the addition or subtraction. All right, let's do number 10. So let's put our line down the middle. My variable's on the right side, it's the b here. Okay, so remember this 3b is really 3 times b. So in order to get rid of these 3's, the 3 I want to get rid of first is the addition or subtraction 3, which is going to be this guy. And what's the sign in front of this 3? Is he adding or subtracting? He's actually adding. This negative sign belongs to this 3. So we want to get rid of addition by subtraction. This canceled. We're left with -9 on the left side equal to -3 times b. And how do I get rid of multiplication? To get rid of this 3 is you divide by the same number to both sides. -9 and -3, that gives me +3 equal to b. On number 11, again, we want to split the equation, so we're going to put our line down. Our variables on the left, okay? We have 2 numbers to get rid of, 2 and 1. So we want to get rid of addition or subtraction first. So that means we want to get rid of this 1 first. But before we do, we got to make sure it's not being divided. So if you look, this 1 is not being divided. Even though there's division here, the 1 is not being divided. And since it's adding, we want to get rid of that first. So the opposite of addition is subtraction, and what you do to one side, do to the other. The 1's cancel out. Now we have n divided by 2 equals 0. It's okay to have 0. And now we ask ourselves, n is not by itself. We still have to get rid of the 2, and the 2 is dividing. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So what we do to one side, do to the other, and we have n equal to 0. Okay, let's jump over to number 12. Split the equation. My variable's on the left side, and we have to get rid of this, the top 2 and the bottom 2. So we want to get rid of addition, subtraction first. So we want to get rid of this subtraction of 2. But here's the exception. The subtraction of 2 is being divided by this bar. So that means we can't get rid of the subtraction 2 because it's the exception is being divided. So the other thing we have to do is get rid of this bottom 2 first. Okay? So to get rid of the bottom 2, that means we are dividing. So this 2 is dividing. The opposite of division is multiplication. What you do to one side, do to the other. 2's cancel out. We're left with k minus 2, and the right side is -8. K is still not by itself. We have to get rid of this 2. This 2 is subtracting, so now we're going to add 2 to both sides. And k will equal -6. Again, this was the exception. Remember, you cannot get rid of addition or subtraction if it's being divided. Okay? This addition or subtraction was not being divided, so we were able to get rid of it first. All right, 13. So my variables on the right side, we got to get rid of the 1 and the 3. So we have to figure out which one is adding or subtracting, and we know that the 1 is actually subtracting and it's not being divided, so we could get rid of this subtraction of 1 first. Remember, this negative here means we have a -3 times a. This negative has nothing to do with this 1. So this is a subtraction of 1. The opposite of subtraction is addition. What you do to one side, do to the other. That gives me 18 equal to -3 times A. Okay, when a number and a variable are written next to each other, that's multiplication. So now we have to get rid of the -3. Since it's multiplying, we do the opposite of multiplication, which is division, and we do it to both sides. This gives me -6 equal to A. All right, this problem's a little different, but let's just go through it. Okay, these are pretty much very similar to the problems we're going to be doing next week. All right. So if you look, we have actually two K's, but they're both on the right side. Okay, when this happens, and we'll get into more detail next week, when these K's are both on the right side, we want to do CLT, which is combine like terms. Okay, so a like term is when you have two numbers that have the same exact variable. So I have 8K, positive 8K, and -7K. So this is positive 8K. We're going to combine it with -7K. When I say combine, we're really just meaning we're going to either add or subtract depending on the sign. So we have positive 8 and a -7. If you do that math, positive 8, -7, and combine them, that gives you positive 1K, or positive K. Bring down the -8 here. Equal to -3. K again is not by itself, so we have to get rid of, in this case, the 8. What's the 8 doing? It's subtracting. So the opposite of subtraction is addition, and what you do to one side, do to the other. This turns into 5 equal to K. All right, so again, all these problems here are review, guys. This is from Im1. I just want to make sure that we're getting really comfortable with this before we move on into the Im2 stuff. Okay, remember, you want to add these problems to the Friday's upload. So you'll see it on Friday. It's due on Friday. Add these 8 problems to it. Okay. If you missed any of the Zoom, there'll be a recording uploaded. So make sure you check out that recording. And that's all I have for you. If you want to stay on, I'm going to stay on for the rest of the period. If you have any questions on assignments or anything like that, or if you need help with the calendar and how to do some things, you can stay on. Other than that, I'm going to give you the access code. I want you to check in on the calendar, and you are dismissed. Okay, so today's check-in code is GRASS.